Hey guys, today we're gonna discuss how we're gonna do create an IAM user on AWS account. So this is like a brand new account that I created for my testing purposes. So what we're gonna first do is we're gonna search for IAM in the search bar on the top left, on the top navigation bar. So search for IAM, and here then what we can do is there are kind of like three kind of things like three kind of things like the user groups, users, and roles. So today we're going to create a user so that we can use it on our end. So we already got an existing user, but I'm going to create a new user by clicking on here, create user. So on here what we can do is we can give like a name for the user. Let's say I will say dev user, and I think this is a really bad naming convention, but you can use anything that you want. It can be up to 64 characters, and anything with the valid characters could be used, like even a hyphen. And it's provided user access to AWS Management Console. That is optional, but you could do that. But now you click next. So basically in here you could add to a user group and a copy permission from some another user, or else just attach policies directly. So when here when you say like a add a user to a group, like that means, for example, you might have like more than more than one dev in your team, right? So you could like create a group from the previous step above, and then assign like the permission for the group. Like for example, if the dev need to access to the ECS or ECS, S3 and other services, you could give them access to the group and permission to the group, and then you could add this user to the group. But here I'm going to do is I'm going to attach the policies directly, and then I'm going to give the user the administrator access. And then what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to click next, and then here I have given the user. I could give the tag, so I identify this is one of a user administrator. But then I click next, create user. So you could be able to see that I have created a user, and it hasn't any last activity, but I'm just going to click on here. And another thing now you could do is like user can access to this AWS using their own console port. So if you give this, like if you want to give the user to access to the AWS from their console, you could click enable console access, and then you could say custom generated, and then I'll just type a password for here, and then or as you can say user must create a new password at the next time, but I'm just going to do a custom password because I'm going to use this one. And then if you show me these details, you need to make sure you copy these details and save it somewhere, so you could pass it to the user that you want to give. Most of the time, like this is in a big companies, they have separate teams who have access to this, and they're going to handle all of this permissions stuff. Like there's a cloud team normally to do this. I should have said user, but I said user, so that was my practice. And you could do just download this CSV file. So I close this, but to show you what we just did, when I mean what's a different user account, I will just open up an Incognito browser, because it will give because I can't access two AWS accounts from the same browser, because it first like the caching thing. So it basically gives you that, so it copies you the account ID and give the user and then the password. So then click on sign in. So basically now I got a dev users which have their own access, but it has the stuff. So basically this is like the basic thing you first need to do. Make sure you don't use your root account to do any changes to the AWS, like anything on the AWS. Always make sure you do this. That's the best practices meanwhile. So next one I will just carry on and teach you how to do configure AWS on your local computer, so you could access through CLI and use the tools like the CDK CLI tools to how to do AWS stuff. That's for this video. I'll see you next time. Thank you.